Today we're going to install our Teixeira Tech skid plate with rotor guard, and we're going to install our Teixeira Tech sprocket guard on the rear of our YFZ450R. I'll get into what tools we're going to need here shortly, but here's the merchandise as we received it. All right, we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. To take your old sprocket bolts out, you're going to need a 14mm socket and an 8mm Allen wrench. Now, to put your new hardwire in that comes with your sprocket guard, you're going to need a 17mm socket and a 6mm Allen wrench. That way we've got all that out of the way. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll show you here what I've done. I've took just a little bit of WD-40, sprayed the bolts on my sprocket. So I'm gonna remove these 4 nuts right here, and I'm gonna leave the bolts in. I'm gonna take the bolts out one at a time, roll it around, slide my new ones in, and put my guard on there. That way my sprocket's not flopping or falling around anywhere. I've still got just bolts holding it. But that's what I'm gonna do right here, and I'll show you the finished product on that. It looks to be pretty self-explanatory, so we'll see what it looks like. First thing I'm gonna need to do is remove my old skid plate. I already have an aftermarket one on here. It wasn't much, I'll just tell you. These come factory. It's going to take a 10mm socket, I'm pretty sure, from the factory, but I had some bolts bent up already, so I've got 2 8mm and 2 10mm underneath there. But I'm just going to take a ratchet socket, remove those 4 bolts. Okay, the next move is to assemble your skid plate. This is going to be the chain side as I'm holding it. This is going to be the brake rotor side. You got a piece that goes right on here with the supplied bolts and nuts for your chain side. This piece goes right on here with the supplied bolts and nuts for the rotor side. 4 bolts or 4 bolts on each side is what you've got. 5 over here, sorry about that. So next move would be to get that assembled and all tightened up, snugged down. Next thing you're gonna want to do is assemble your skid plate. I've got this one assembled loosely. The way I'm looking at it here, this is your rotor side, this is your chain side. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts. My kit only came with 7 bolts and nuts. Well, you have 9 holes. So I put the 2 outside ones in the chain guard, since I am putting a sprocket guard on this thing a little bit later, because this right here is actually not going to do a whole lot. And I put the 5 on my rotor guard. That's a 6mm Allen wrench and a 10mm socket. You can install those just like we're looking at it here, and get those good and tight, and we'll be ready to put it on the 4-wheeler. Okay, now that I've got everything tight, and we'll get ready to put this on my 450R. Like I said, I was 2 bolts short. I don't know if that's intentional or unintentional, but I took the 2 that I was shy and left them out of my little chain bracket here, because I am running the sprocket guard. So this shouldn't take much of a beating, and later on I'll probably find me a couple and stick in there, but I just don't have any right now. But anyway, so, you know, if you come up 2 bolts short, like I said, I don't know if that was intentional or unintentional, but I made sure and put the 5 in my rotor guard. One thing I do like about this Teixeira Tech stuff so far, I've not run it yet, but I do like that everything comes apart. You can buy or replace any part that you need instead of having to purchase the whole skid plate. So we're going to put this thing on, see what it looks like. Okay, we're underneath the quad here. You want to make sure that your mounting points, you clean the mud, dirt off of them so your skid plate fits good and flush. And I did manage to find 2 more 10mm headed bolts to replace the ones that I jacked up with the previous skid plate. But anyway, that's maybe irrelevant for anybody else. Basically what you're going to do, sorry about the movement, I'm not real good at this camera stuff, and Lando's not here right now, so I'm trying to help him out a little bit and do it both. But it's pretty simple. I mean, it's gonna set up in here and bolt right up once you get everything lined up. I'm trying to do it with one hand, so I'll turn the camera off and bolt it up. But I mean, it's self-explanatory, no big issue. All right, here we are. I've got the Teixeira Tech skid plate installed, if I'm pronouncing that right, you all. If I'm not, hey, just don't hate on it. I don't talk real plain anyway. I think it looks great on there. I mean, everything mounted up great, looks good. But what'll put it to the test is when we hit the trails around here. A lot of our trails are kind of like rough, rocky. A skid plate takes a beating. So we'll eventually see what it's made of. I'm gonna get this thing off these ramps and we'll put the sprocket guard on. To go any farther, you're gonna have to take the wheel off your YFZ. I call it the passenger side, the chain side, rear wheel. That's gonna take a 14 millimeter. Take your 4 lug nuts off and have your jack ready. We've got a jack sitting underneath here. Once we get the wheel loose where we can take it off, we'll jack it up an inch or so and get him off of there. Now that the wheel's off, we're going to use our 14 millimeter and our 8 millimeter Allen wrench to remove our sprocket nuts as we discussed earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. Okay, here we are. I got of course the wheel off. The nuts that hold the sprockets on are all off, and I've got 2 bolts holding the sprocket in place. And like I said, those were tight, pretty rough to get off. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put 2 of our new bolts in that come with our sprocket guard kit. Put one right there. We'll spin this thing around. Watch, don't mash your finger. Put one on here. What that's going to get is it's going to get a nut on each one of them that's going to thread all the way up tight. With the tools we spoke of earlier. I've got them laying out over here. I think was a 6 millimeter Allen, 17 millimeter socket. So I'm gonna get those tightened up. And once I get those tightened up, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these other 2 bolts and do the same thing. So I'll carry on, get that done. All right, I've got all 4 bolts installed with the lock nuts. Got everything tight, as tight as I can get it. You don't have to do. Take your Teixeira Tech sprocket guard. You want to slide it on. I don't guess it matters which way it goes. I mean, it's sort of scallop cut, but I'm going to install mine with a Teixeira Tech writing showing on the outside, just for the looks of it. I don't see that it's a big deal either way. And this thing should fit tight, and it does. It fits real tight, actually. That's good. It'll go on when I put the nuts on there. I'm gonna put nuts on, get that all tightened up and locked down, and we'll see what we've got. Okay, got the sprocket guard on. Nuts are tight. Got the wheel back on. Lug nuts are tight. I like the look of this product. Like I said, I've not run it yet. We get it in the trails around here. We'll see what it does. Actually, you got double protection here. You got the little guard that comes with the skid plate. Then I went ahead and got the sprocket guard in with the kit. I think it looks good. We'll see what it does. No major issue to put on. I am going to have to tighten my chain a little bit. I need to check this thing over. I'm sort of hearing that we might be invited on a Dirt Obsession and the ATV World ride here pretty soon. And I'm going to need this old 450 in pretty good shape. Them boys is ripping the Raptors and the Banshees and whatnot. And I just need to make sure I'm in good shape. Check Teixeira Tech out. You can Instagram, Google, whatever you need to do to find them. Lando might be able to put a link in the description. Again, guys, I apologize for the quality of this filming. I'm not real good at it. Lando, he's our man on that. He takes care of it, but he's not around today, so I thought I would help him out a little bit. Keep watching the channel, and we thank everybody for their support. I'm going to go over this thing and check her out and finish her up for the day.